I never thought a house could ruin my life, but it almost did. Not because it collapsed, not because of mold or debt or some horror in the basement. No, this was far quieter and far more dangerous. Because while I was busy celebrating my dream home, something invisible was eating away at my time, my energy, my joy, and no one warned me. Not the realtor, not the bank, not even my own parents who proudly said, "You've made it." Here's what nobody tells you. Owning a large home doesn't just cost money, it costs you, your attention, your freedom, your peace. And if you're watching this right now, chances are you're already paying that price. You just don't know it yet. I remember the day we got the keys. Sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows, marble countertops, a walk-in closet bigger than my first apartment. I stood in the foyer and whispered, "This is it. This is success." But 3 months later, I was crying in the laundry room at 2 a.m., surrounded by baskets of clothes I hadn't folded in weeks, wondering how I'd gone from living the dream to feeling like a prisoner in my own castle. And that's when it hit me. A big house isn't an asset, it's a full-time job you never applied for. Nobody talks about this. They show you the Instagram shots, the cozy reading nook, the chef's kitchen, the backyard oasis, but they never show you the 47 hours a month you'll spend just coding. Let me say that again, 47 hours. That's more than a part-time job. And that's before repairs, before landscaping, before the HVAC system dies in July, before the roof leaks during the first real storm. I learned this the hard way, when our water heater exploded on a Sunday morning, flooding half the downstairs. The repair? $6,200. And that was after I spent 2 days on the phone with contractors, insurance, and plumbers who all said, "Ma'am, this is normal for a house this size." Normal. That word haunted me. Because if this was normal, then why did I feel like I was drowning? Here's the truth they bury under granite countertops and smart home tech. Every square foot you own owns a piece of you back. Think about it. That extra bedroom you might use someday, it still needs dusting, vacuuming, temperature control, insurance, property tax. That grand staircase, beautiful until you're climbing it 5 times a day carrying laundry, groceries, or a screaming toddler. That gourmet kitchen with 6 burners, amazing if you cook every night. But if you order takeout twice a week like most people, it's just a very expensive stage set for guilt. I used to think more space meant more freedom, but what I got was more responsibility, more decisions, more stuff to manage, maintain, and worry about. And here's the scary part. The bigger your house, the smaller your life becomes, because your energy gets siphoned into upkeep, not adventure, into maintenance, not meaning. You trade weekend hikes for pressure washing the driveway. You swap date nights for scheduling gutter cleaning. And slowly, quietly, your identity shifts. You stop being yourself and start becoming the caretaker of a monument to someone you thought you were supposed to be. Now, you might be thinking, "But Angela, I love my home. It's my sanctuary." I believed that too, until I realized my sanctuary required so much work, I had no time left to actually feel peaceful in it. And worse, I started resenting it. Not out loud, not consciously, but in tiny ways. Like when I'd stare at the empty guest room and think, why did I buy all this space I never use? Or when I'd open my utility bill and see numbers that looked like car payments for electricity alone. Or when friends would visit and say, "Wow, this place is incredible." And I'd smile while silently calculating how many hours I'd lose that week just keeping it presentable. That's the hidden trap. Your house starts dictating your behavior. You stop inviting people over unless it's spotless because it's too much work to clean up after them. You avoid cooking because the cleanup feels overwhelming. You delay vacations because someone has to watch the house. You become a curator of appearances, not a participant in life. And the worst part? You think it's your fault. You think you're lazy, disorganized, ungrateful. But you're not. You're just living in a system designed to look like success while secretly draining you dry. I hit my breaking point last winter. It was -10 degrees outside. Our furnace quit at midnight. I called 3 emergency HVAC companies. All said the same thing. We can't get there until tomorrow afternoon, and it'll be $900 just for the diagnostic. So I spent the night wrapped in blankets, huddled near a speed heater, watching my breath fog in the air, and asking myself one question over and over. Is this worth it? Not the house, not the mortgage, my life. Was I really living or just maintaining the illusion of living? That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to sell immediately, but I was going to see clearly for the first time. So I started tracking everything, not just money, time, energy, stress. I logged every hour spent cleaning, repairing, organizing, shopping for home stuff, arguing with contractors, worrying about systems failing, and after 30 days, the number shocked me. I was spending 22 hours a week managing my house. 22! That's more than most people work at their actual jobs. And that's before taxes, before the worry that something might go wrong. For what? To live in a museum I was too exhausted to enjoy? To impress strangers who didn't care? To fulfill a version of success I'd inherited from TV shows and social media? No, something had to change. Now, before I tell you what I did next, I need you to ask yourself a brutal question. What are you sacrificing to keep your house running? Is it sleep, relationships, creative projects, your health, your sense of calm? Because here's what the real estate industry will never admit. A large home amplifies everything in your life, including your weaknesses. If you're already stretched thin, a big house will stretch you until you snap. If you struggle with clutter, more rooms mean more chaos. If you're anxious about money, rising property taxes and surprise repairs will keep you up at night. And if you value freedom, well, good luck finding it when you're chained to a 4,000 square foot AR. But, and this is critical, it's not too late to reclaim your life. I know, because I did. And what I discovered changed everything. After that frozen night, I stopped treating my house like a trophy and started treating it like a tool. A tool should serve you, not the other way around. So I asked myself, what do I actually need? Not want, not dream about, but truly need to feel safe, calm, and free. And the answer wasn't 5 bedrooms. It wasn't a wine cellar. It wasn't even a walk-in pantry, as much as I loved mine. It was space to breathe. Not physical space, mental space, emotional space, time space. And I realized I could have all of that in half the square footage and triple the joy. So I began downsizing, not just my stuff, but my expectations. I sold furniture I never sat on. I canceled the landscaping service and let the backyard go wild. Turns out native plants grow just fine on their own. I stopped buying decor to fill the space and embraced emptiness as a feature, not a flaw. And slowly, the weight lifted. The constant background hum of stress, gone. The dread of coming home to a mess replaced by relief. Because now, when I walk in the door, I don't see tasks, I see rest. And that's when I understood the real secret. Freedom isn't found in more space, it's found in less obligation. But here's what almost no one sees coming. When you reduce your physical footprint, something unexpected happens. Your inner world expands. Without the noise of constant upkeep, you start hearing yourself again. You remember what you love. You notice small joys, a cup of tea in silence, sunlight on the floor, the sound of rain without worrying if the gutters are clogged. You reconnect with people because you're not too tired to talk after a long day of housework. And financially, the relief is staggering. Our monthly expenses dropped by 38%. Not because we moved to a shack, but because we chose enough over excess. And with that saved money, we traveled, we invested, we slept better, because for the first time in years, we weren't one emergency away from financial panic. Now, I'm not saying everyone should live in a tiny house. That's not the point. The point is this: your house should support your life, not consume it. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, or trapped by your dream home, you're not broken. You're just never told the full story. They showed you the glossy brochure, but they hid the fine print. Warning: this lifestyle requires 20+ hours of weekly labor, emotional resilience to handle constant maintenance, and willingness to sacrifice spontaneity for stability.
Nobody reads that clause because it's never written, but it's real. And if you ignore it long enough, your house stops being a home and starts being a gilded cage. So what should you do if you're already in one? Don't panic. Don't rush to sell. Start small. Ask yourself, what part of my home gives me joy? And what part just gives me chores? Then, eliminate the latter. Rent out unused rooms, simplify your decor, automate what you can, outsource only what truly drains you, and ditch the rest. And most importantly, stop measuring your worth by your square footage. Success isn't a vaulted ceiling. Peace isn't a stainless steel appliance suite. Freedom isn't a gated driveway. Real wealth? It's waking up without dread. It's having time to read, create, connect. It's knowing that if your furnace breaks, it won't destroy your month. That's the life I have now. Smaller house, bigger breaths, deeper joy, and zero regrets. Before I go, I need to tell you one last thing, something I wish someone had told me before I signed those papers. Owning a large home isn't a milestone, it's a trade. And you must know what you're trading for. Because if you trade your time, your energy, your presence for granite and square feet, you might win the house, but lose yourself in the process. Don't make my mistake. See clearly, choose wisely, and remember, the best home isn't the biggest one, it's the one that lets you live.